I'm Jenni Carlson here with Kyle Fredrickson. We're in Norman, where Oklahoma State has defeated Oklahoma 38-35 in overtime, and Kyle, Bedlam definitely lived up to its billing. With about 5 minutes to go, it looked like Oklahoma was going to win up 2 touchdowns, and then how did we get to this point where OSU wins this game?
I think we're still kind of processing it. It's just so immediate, but clearly it was the Brandon Shepard touchdown with less than 5 minutes left that cuts it to a one-score game. But even then, after that point, the chances of OSU winning didn't look all that great. Mason Rudolph throws an interception. OU has the ball. They're just kind of battling back and forth, punt after punt. And then what we saw earlier in the year, Tyreek Hill turned it on and made the amazing 92-yard punt return touchdown to tie this one up. And in a game where OSU had come in with such lackluster performances the last 5 or 6 weeks, to see them fight like this with a freshman quarterback, shades of Josh Fields 2001, just an incredibly impressive performance by the guys and all of their just how they approached the game. They overcame some mistakes in the first half, made some second half adjustments, and came out with an unlikely and otherwise pretty amazing victory.
Well, if not for 2001 and 16-13, we would say this is probably the biggest Bedlam upset on this field in a long time. But, 2001, OU probably better that year, definitely better that year than they were this year. OSU definitely in a better spot than they were in Les Miles' first year, but still a huge upset. And as you mentioned, they get the Tyreek Hill punt return. And let's remember, that came after OU decided to re-punt after they had a running into the punter penalty. I think when Jordan Stearns committed it, he thought, oh my gosh, I've roughed the kicker, I've roughed the punter, game over. Instead, it's a running into 5 yards. OU not only re-kicks, but re-kicks towards Tyreek Hill, makes a tough catch, and then he makes a couple guys miss and is off to the races. And we know when that happens, he is gone. But to stay in this game, a lot had to come down to an offense that has been really hit and miss. You had to love what Mason Rudolph did if you're the Cowboys.
Absolutely. And for the first time all year, Mike Gundy broke protocol and first let us talk to a quarterback and let us talk to a true freshman. But, kudos to Mike Gundy. He's been, a few times in the past has been critiqued for his use of quarterbacks with the media, doesn't let Clint Shelf talk after the biggest game of his life. I think he learned his lesson this week. Mason was very upbeat about the victory. I think he was kind of in shock over the whole thing too. But it was great to hear from him and all of the players who really just seem to who have respected this guy for coming in and doing what he's done. And Mike Gundy after the press conference, he a few days ago he made himself the story by not talking with the media. Well, he made himself the story again this week by really reaffirming his commitment to Oklahoma State, kind of breaking down the ways that he kind of deflected some pressure off of his own team. And now the Cowboys extend their season and what seemed impossible maybe a few weeks ago, they'll be going and playing in a bowl game in just the next month or so here.
Yeah, definitely a surprising turn of events. A team that came in as a 3-touchdown underdog, they leave a winner in overtime. Let's talk about that overtime for a second because, Kyle, it went so against script. You had an offense that hadn't really been able to do anything powerful, let's say, an offensive line maligned. Well, today they're without Daniel Koenig, arguably their best offensive lineman. He's hurt. And yet they bully OU in the overtime. They run it and get the yards they need and set up a Ben Grogan field goal that's good, go into the record books. I mean, just an unbelievable end. And Desmond Rowland, a guy that had been through so much, he's carrying the load. Pretty improbable. And now this bowl game, I mean, it seems like they've got all the momentum in the world behind them as they head into this little stretch of postseason.
Yeah, definitely. And we're going to have to wait and see how the bowl positioning works out. But being the last team to get in from the Big 12, it looks like the Cowboys will be slated in the Cactus Bowl, played in Arizona, will be played with, I think, the 5th or 6th team that finishes in the Pac-12. So, a lot of different options there. And you're right, it seems the Cowboys have found their quarterback. They've got some momentum. They just beat the number 20 team in the nation on their field. It bodes well for whoever they play in their next game.
All right, stay tuned. We'll find out about the Cowboys' bowl position in the hours to come. Be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoma.